Today is a special one because I am joined by none other than the legend of Arsenal podcasting, the pioneer himself, Andrew from Arsblog. He is the reason so many of us even started doing podcasts in the first place. In a way, he opened the doors for Arsenal fans everywhere to have their own platforms and voices. So Andrew, whether you like it or not, you're probably responsible for this explosion of Arsenal podcasts across the world. But that only goes to show the impact you've had on this community, so a huge thank you for coming on the show. How are you doing today? Andrew replied with a smile that it was his pleasure, though with tongue-in-cheek he apologized to society at large for unleashing this wave of podcasts. He explained he never imagined it would grow into something so big, but it has, and here we are. It was great to have him on, and as I mentioned before we hit record, today's big focus is on Gabriel Magalhaes. Since Andrew was a center-half himself back in the day, I thought it would be ideal to pick his brain about Gabriel's development, his growth into one of the best defenders in world football, and the qualities that make him stand out today. I reminded him that Gabriel's journey at Arsenal began 5 years ago at Old Trafford, in a kit very similar to the one Arsenal wore at the weekend, and back then he was partnered with Rob Holding. Compare that to today where he is lining up alongside William Saliba, forming one of the most formidable defensive duos in world football, and you can see just how far both he and the team have come. I asked Andrew for his overall view of Gabriel because, in my eyes, he is the bedrock of our backline, the heartbeat of our defensive unit, and a player who plays with raw passion as well as quality. Andrew's first point was humility. While he himself played center half, he said he was never anywhere near Gabriel's level. But he has found Gabriel's evolution fascinating. When he first arrived from France, Gabriel was emotional and sometimes impulsive in his play, but over the years he has matured and learned to channel that energy in a more controlled and effective way. Andrew stressed that Gabriel is now one of the best center-backs in the world, the type of player any club in Europe would love to have. Thankfully, he has signed a new contract and looks committed to Arsenal. But what Andrew also emphasized was that Gabriel's brilliance cannot be separated from the partnership he has built with William Saliba. The two complement each other perfectly. Gabriel makes Saliba better, and Saliba makes Gabriel better. That connection, Andrew said, is something very special and worth celebrating. We then touched on the importance of partnerships, recalling famous duos of the past like Adams and Keown, Ferdinand and Vidic, Terry and Carvalho, and how Gabriel and Saliba are Arsenal's modern-day equivalent. Saliba showed last season that he could marshal the defense on his own when Gabriel was out, but when the two of them are together, Arsenal's defense becomes a wall that few strikers want to face. The only forward Andrew recalled really troubling them was Alexander Isak, but overall, their partnership is intimidating and rock solid. That led us to the broader question of whether Arsenal have the tools to push for the Premier League title this season. Andrew pointed out that the evidence was already on show in the recent win at Old Trafford. While Arsenal's attacking performance was below par and midfield dominance was lacking, the defense held firm. United created a couple of moments but never really opened Arsenal up. The solidity at the back meant that Arsenal could still grind out a classic 1-0 win, and Andrew stressed that being able to win those types of games is what makes you a genuine title contender. We also spoke about Gabriel's impact at set pieces. When he's in the team, Arsenal not only looks stronger defensively from corners but also far more dangerous in attack. Andrew said Gabriel isn't just a tall defender, he's 6'3" with immense presence, someone who causes chaos in the opposition box. That chaos often frees up teammates as well because opponents are so focused on him. Arsenal's new routines, with 5 players making late runs from the edge of the box, add another layer of unpredictability, and Andrew believes this variety keeps opponents guessing. However, with the new rules about grappling in the box, Andrew expressed concern that referees may create inconsistent decisions, as some will see fouls one way and others the opposite. The subjectivity could cause chaos with VAR involvement, but only time will tell how it will play out over the season. We then shifted to Gabriel's technical development. When he arrived, he was decent on the ball but occasionally clumsy, his heavy touches sometimes leading to dangerous turnovers. Over time, though, he has sharpened up significantly, and with Saliba beside him, Gabriel looks calmer and more assured. Arsenal's style demands defenders who can pass accurately, and Gabriel has risen to that challenge. His passing numbers are usually very high, though Andrew admitted the United game showed a bit of rust after Gabriel's timeout. Still, his improvement as a ball-playing center-back is undeniable. We also discussed the tactical element of long passes. Gabriel, along with Declan Rice and Jakub Kiwior, is one of Arsenal's best long passers, but Andrew suggested the real diagonals will likely come more from midfielders like Rice or Zubimendi. That gives greater security, as defenders risk more when playing those passes from deep. Finally, we touched on leadership. Tony Adams recently weighed in on the captaincy debate, with many arguing that Declan Rice should wear the armband. But Andrew feels the obsession with a single captain is outdated. While Martin Odegaard is the official captain and a good one, leadership today is shared. Gabriel is clearly a vocal leader, constantly organizing and motivating teammates, and his influence doesn't require an armband. Arsenal now have multiple leaders across the pitch: Rice, Gabriel, Odegaard, Saliba, and others, and that collective leadership makes the team stronger and more resilient than in past years when Arsenal were accused of lacking character. To wrap up, Andrew reminded listeners that you can find all his work on Arsblog, whether through the website or the Arsblog app, which has everything from news to podcasts and Patreon extras. Of course, there's also the famous Arsacast, which every Arsenal fan should check out. So, if you enjoyed this conversation, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment sharing your thoughts on Gabriel, Arsenal's leadership, and the road ahead this season. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again very soon. We moved on to Gabriel's influence at set pieces. Without him, Arsenal look far less dangerous in attack and less secure in defense. With him, they are transformed. Andrew described Gabriel not only as tall at 6'3", but as having sheer presence, something more than just physical dimensions. His presence unsettles opponents, creating chaos in the penalty area. Even when he isn't scoring, his movement distracts defenders, freeing others to exploit the space. Andrew even suggested Gabriel might be the best centre-half in the Premier League at scoring goals since the days of Thomas Vermaelen, though unlike Vermaelen, Gabriel's threat is purely inside the box, from headers and scrappy finishes rather than long-range shots. Arsenal's set-piece coach, Nicolas Jover, has built routines that maximize Gabriel's strengths, such as lining him up around the penalty spot to create unpredictability. But with the new refereeing rules that penalize grappling in the box, Andrew admitted to being concerned. Referees may interpret situations differently, and what one sees as a foul by the defender another might view as a foul by the attacker. The inconsistency could be infuriating, and VAR's involvement might only complicate matters further. He warned that trying to eliminate holding in the penalty area could open Pandora's box, potentially making decision-making less clear, not more.